Hello and welcome back to another episode of Quick Spin, the Autoweek podcast that gets to the essence of the automobile. Today, we are talking about the new Mazda CX-30 2.5T. That's right, the 2.5-liter turbocharged Mazda engine has made its way to the little compact CX-30 crossover. I actually drove it this time, but I'm still talking with Jake Lingeman, who will be asking the hard-hitting questions. You can take a look at this Mazda CX-30 on our Instagram page right now. That's at Autoweek USA. And hey, while you're on your phone, why don't you head over to our Facebook page and like and subscribe. That way you get all the great Autoweek content we deliver daily. We're going to jump right into this Mazda CX-30 in just 1 second. But before that, we have to pay the bills. Our friends at Road & Trek have some big news to share. The premium lifestyle magazine for the automotive enthusiast is now fully loaded. Become a member of the Trek Club and receive 6 supersized double issues a year, plus access to digital content, dozens of partner privileges, exclusive invites to editorial events, and first dibs on insider automotive events both online and around the world. Hop on in by visiting roadandtrack.com/join. That's ROADANDTRACK.com/JOIN. And Jake, tell me about this 2021 Mazda CX-30. That was the 2.5-liter turbo, right?
Sorry, Wes. It's not only President's Day, it's also Opposite Day, which means I am going to be hosting the show today, and you will be telling us about the car that you drove.
Oh, that's right. I did drive this. They liked the Corvette review so much that they threw me into another car, and man, am I happy about it.
So nice, we potted him twice.
It's true. But hey, I might be good on mic, but I would say I'm not nearly as good on mic as this Mazda CX-30 is on the road. But we're going to get to that later, I guarantee it. But Jake, since I just stole the reins right back from you, I want to kick this off with my little walk around because I did it and I want to share it with the world. So let's go to my walk around. All right, right off the top, just looking at it, if you told me this was an SUV, I would be, surprised. It looks like a mildly lifted Mazda 3, which is, to say, it's a compliment. Obviously, people want compact SUVs, and compact SUVs are effectively just lifted hatchbacks. But it looks like a Mazda. It's very stylish. But this isn't the normal Mazda CX-30. No, this is the CX-30 2.5T. That's right, this is the turbocharged 2.5 liter. So it makes around 250 horsepower, and it's all-wheel drive, shifted by a 6-speed automatic. The biggest problem with these compact crossovers is obviously the rear hatch space, which, there's enough here to do your average grocery trip, maybe more than the average grocery trip for me, but you can probably hit 4 carry-on suitcases, maybe 3. Obviously power tailgate, as Mazda's going upscale, rolling on a set of 18s. Yeah, so the Mazda CX-30, especially in this 2.5 trim, has a lot to offer. Obviously, the fact that it's a lifted hatchback effectively, offers enough for most folks. But Mazda is pushing its trajectory into the more premium market, which means the interior is probably going to be pretty nice. Let's hop in right now. A nice padded dash, a little two-tone situation going on here. Two-tone through the interior. We have brown on black, white. Perforated leather seats, a nice upholstered center console. All right, so the fun thing about Mazda, with this minimalist interior, they didn't do away with the buttons. There's buttons for the steering wheel heater, button for the seat heaters, defrosters, front and rear, and the infotainment system is obviously still button controlled. It reminds me a little bit of the BMW iDrive, the center wheel, which takes scrolling. You have a Navi button, a back button, a home button, and an entertainment button, also a volume knob down here in the center console next to the shifter. The shifter, it's not a monostable shifter, which I'm a big fan of. There's a little sport switch if you want to put it into sport mode. Yeah, there's a lot to offer in this interior. The steering wheel, soft, nice, feels good in the hand. There's a lot going on. It's a multi-function steering wheel, 3 spokes. There's a lot of buttons here for voice controls, for volume controls, for controlling entertainment system, controlling adaptive cruise, and your cruise control. However, it doesn't look busy. They're nicely integrated into the steering wheel. On top of the dashboard, there's a nice little infotainment screen. It's not a touch screen. Lower, there's still what looks like a radio. Looks like a dial radio from a car from the 50s or 60s. However, it's actually your HVAC controls. So that's a nice little interesting touch. Obviously, USB connection. There's a sliding center console with another USB in there as well, and a little charging outlet. So now that that's out of the way, let's go hit the road.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts. So you mentioned the button several times, but you still say it's minimalist. I'm looking at some pictures right now. I'm just trying to see. I mean, it does look, with everything in black, it does look pretty minimal. Was yours in black, or you said the seats were in white, though?
Yeah, the seats were off-color. They were white, but the dash and the door cards were brown and black leather, or what I assume is leather. I did not, pull a swatch. There are buttons. However, they're so well integrated into the design of the interior that it doesn't look super busy. I mean, they could have just thrown the buttons willy-nilly, like in a center stack, or you know what I mean, just throwing them around to where you think you'd want them, but they're all super well integrated.
And then I will add that with that 250 horsepower, you get 320 pound-feet of torque. I mean, that is freaking solid. That is a strong amount of torque for a car that weighs about 3,000 pounds.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, I might have been underselling the amount of horsepower because when we drive it, it gets there. It gets the job done.
And then my last thought is that, I think Mazda's current styling and even their past styling for the past decade or so has been great. But I just cannot get down with the black cladding on the bottom of almost any car.
I also am not a big fan of the cladding, but it is part of the aesthetic of a crossover, right? And it does add a little bit of protection if you were to actually go, on a trail or off into the wilderness in this, because if you're scratching like a fender, you're no longer scratching a fender, you're scratching a plastically cladded wheel arch. But yeah, I think now is a great time to jump into the driver's seat and take this for a quick spin. Let's go to the audio now. Alrighty, so we're actually in the car now, and we are ready to go. Let's fire this bad boy up. Listen to all those horses. All right, we're getting ready to try it out into the frozen tundra that is Greater Michigan, and go. Let's put this to the test. All right, real fast, the parking brake always resets. It is definitely frustrating. 250 horsepower sent to all wheels through a 6-speed. Leave my neighborhood now, all right. The traction control system is actually pretty good. Instead of pulling power, it gives you a good amount of slip to do a little bit of hoonery and shenanigans, perhaps. Regular driving in these cold winter climes. Obviously, that would translate too if you're off-road in a limited traction situation. But I mean, hey, since there's a bunch of snow and ice on the ground, let's have some fun with it. It does bite when you try to throw the tail out. It does bite you and pull you back in, which is nice, but it doesn't really, you don't feel it as aggressive as other traction control systems. Yeah, you can hang the tail a little bit. Actually pretty fun. The shifts are smooth, I don't feel any shuddering. What you want on a... And this Mazda powertrain is really kind of dialed in. Our colleagues over at Car and Driver says this will hit 60 in about 5.6 seconds, which I believe. You hear a little bit of the exhaust. It's pretty peppy. In terms of comfort, obviously the interior is very comfortable. The seats are nice. The ride is maybe harsher than some other compact SUVs you'll see. It's on the firmer side, which is what you want from a Mazda, because it is pretty sporty. But you do feel the bumps, at least the destroyed roads in Metro Detroit. We're gonna hop on the interstate real fast, see if we get any wind noise, or probably not as exciting as a true blue sports car, but let's see how this 250 horsepower Mazda feels on an on-ramp. Down pretty quickly, shift smooth. Yeah, it feels good. So you can throw it in sport mode, which hangs the shifts a little longer. But there's also you hear a little turbo whistle, which I love hearing turbo whistle. You might not be able to hear it in the recording, but there is some turbo whistle. But yeah, folks, I think that is the Mazda CX-30. Let's go back to me in the studio. If there's a young person in your life who's really into cars, give them the gift of R&T Crew, the ultimate subscription box by Road and Track for kids ages 6 to 10. Every other month, a box is delivered to their door and is stuffed with cool accessories, fun activities, and a magazine chock full of facts, stories, games, and more. Sign up now and receive the all-new Crushin' It issue and enter the code Autoweek for 10% off an annual box subscription. Just head to rtcrew.com, that's rtcrew.com, and use the code AUTOWEEK.
Nice. So I drove the 3 turbo all-wheel drive, same powertrain. It was dry though, and you could really kind of feel it. You kind of just go into turns really relaxed, and it would help you out. You can't really notice the torque control on the front, but you said it was good in the snow though, right? Did you feel like some rear end slippage, or what were you feeling?
Yeah, so I mean, I was intentionally tossing it just to, goof around a little bit, and you could feel the back walk out on you. Obviously, you could also feel the torque vectoring and the braking grab you a little bit and make sure you're not spinning the car on accident.
So this ends with me asking you, Wesley, what is the essence of the 2021 Mazda CX-30?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And on a quick spin, we try to get into this. And I think I've got a pretty good answer. I've had a lot of time to think about it. And I talked with the marketing people and the Mazda engineers to really kind of get a grasp of what's going on with this car. And Jake, I just want to posit a question to you really fast. Hatchbacks in the US, especially hot hatchbacks, great sellers are the best sellers.
They're definitely, they don't sell as good as they should, that's for sure.
All right, yeah, so I think that Mazda is kind of looking at the future in the same way that Volkswagen looked into the future a little bit with their Rabbit. They're kind of seeing that there is a developing, segment. Obviously, this isn't the first hot crossover, right? You can look at the Mercedes, the A45s, and look at those. But I think this is really kind of a new direction, and automakers, I think this is like a new segment. Maybe a replacement for the hot hatch. Some like it, some won't. But yeah, I think that the essence of the Mazda CX-30 is a future hot hatch crossover situation, because it kind of looks basically like a Mazda 3. It's not hot in the 300 horsepower plus segment, like a 300 horsepower look that we might be getting in the future with hot hatchbacks. But I mean, 250 horsepower, compact, slightly lifted hatch styling,
So I think plus, okay, so you got that power, plus it only weighs 3,000 pounds. So you're looking at, it's going to feel like more, and the 320 pound-feet of torque. And what I think is, sorry to cut in on you, what I think is that this segment is super popular. And so there are obviously people who want a more family-oriented compact crossover, and there are people who want a sportier-oriented compact crossover. So there's no reason why they can't make both and rake in all the money, although Mazda doesn't rake in very much money, unfortunately.
But I mean, explicitly to that though, Jake, I mean, there's a CX-30 compact crossover with a regular 2.5 Nitro aspirated engine, does the job, gets the job done. Much like the Rabbit, there was a base Rabbit and then the Rabbit GTI. Like, this scratches the itch for the person that wants a compact crossover but wants a little more horsepower and doesn't want to reach up to the A45 Mercedes, right?
Well, yeah, that would be a huge reach, yeah.
But it's the same principle, I think. You know what I'm talking about? Like the sporty, compact, kind of upscale, the adult hot hatch for the subcompact crossover buyer.
That's a lot of qualifiers.
A very narrow market, yes.
That's a lot of qualifiers, but you're right.
And I posit that if the Mazda 3, isn't a sales success, or you know what I mean, let's look at Ford. Ford cut the Focus in the Fiesta, and other automakers, while that was wild when it was announced, but other automakers have since followed, slashing their cars and hatchbacks. I wouldn't be super surprised if Mazda ditched the Mazda 3. I mean, it would be sad, and just replaced it with the CX-30. I mean, the CX-30 is a fantastic compact crossover, and I don't think you lose a whole heck of a lot over the Mazda 3. The styling's different and it's taller, but I mean, you can fix that with springs.
Well, that's true. Well, if you keep the CX-3 and the CX-30, and then you can maybe get rid of the 3, even though that will be my last choice. I love the 3. That's my 1 or 2. If I'm buying a non-hot hatch, that's like number 1 or 2 on my list. So,
and let's be very clear. I also love the Mazda 3. I think it's one of the best hatchbacks you can get. Well, I think that wraps this one up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us along this drive. Please head over to Apple Podcast Store, drop a review, or wherever you get this bad boy, drop a review. Let us know you did so, and let us know what you want to hear about in the future. But most importantly, I know I just said this, we cannot do the show without your listenership. So thank you for listening, and see you next week.